So welcome. This is the 75th anniversary of NASA Ames Research Center. This is the Directors Colloquium Summer Series. In this series, we'll have 18 seminars this summer. They're exciting. They cover a whole range of science and backgrounds of information. Today's seminar, entitled No More Helicopter Parenting, Intelligent, Autonomous, Unmanned Aerial Systems, will be given by Dr. Kristin Rozier. Dr. Rozier will be describing how advanced new capabilities for system health management assure mission safety and effectiveness under all conditions. Dr. Rozier is a research computer scientist in the Intelligent Systems Division of NASA Ames Research Center. She earned a PhD from Rice University and a BS and MS degrees from the College of William and Mary. Her advances in computation for the aerospace domain earned her numerous awards, and in particular, one that I will highlight is the Women in Aerospace Inaugural Initiative Inspiration Impact Award. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Rozier.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. They actually asked me to first talk about my path to this stage. So there you go. There's my path to NASA Ames. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, which you can see there, and I went to the College of William and Mary for a bachelor's degree. Somewhere along the way, I took a wrong turn and ended up with a master's degree. And during my time there, I was extremely fortunate to meet Professor Zia Rahman, who accomplished an extraordinary amount in a life that was cut too short. And he recommended me for a job at NASA Langley, which is not too far from William & Mary, in the field of aeroacoustics. Now, I had absolutely no idea what aeroacoustics actually was at the time. But the short version is you get to do really awesome things with lasers inside wind tunnels, inside anechoic chambers. And if you do it well, you get to improve the everyday lives of Americans. And they even pay you for this. So for all of you students out there, if you ever have the chance to get an internship with the aeroacoustics people, I highly recommend you go after that because they are awesome. So also while I was at NASA Langley, I had the privilege of meeting another group and discovered what I am truly passionate about, which is the field of formal methods. So I switched and joined the NASA Langley Formal Methods group. Now, formal methods may sound like a little bit of a funny name, and in fact, the members of my cycling club here in the audience like to joke that it means that we put on tuxedos and prom dresses and do math. But really, formal methods is a set of mathematically rigorous techniques for the specification, validation, and verification of safety-critical systems. So here's a hint. This talk is going to be about formal methods, but applied to unmanned aerial systems. So there was just one minor problem with getting my new dream job at NASA Langley, and that was that it required a PhD, and I didn't have one yet. So I enrolled in Rice University and became simultaneously a full-time PhD student and a full-time research scientist at NASA, which is not a combination I recommend if you're a fan of sleep, but it did accomplish my goals. So I got to have my dream job, and then NASA transferred me from Langley out here to beautiful sunny California to be at NASA Ames, and that's how I ended up here today. Now, along the way, specifically I think this arrow, I developed a hobby, or as I like to call it, a healthy stress management technique. I took up long-distance cycling. And California is an absolutely wonderful place for long-distance cycling. So here's a picture of me. I'm the one in purple with the purple bike and the purple seat with a bunch of my friends. This is on one of our favorite local reservoir rides. And California also has some really amazing hills and beautiful scenic vistas. So there's me climbing a hill. Again, you can see my shoes are purple too. And anyway, so with this club and through their encouragement, I began riding longer and longer distances. And I just completed my second Davis double century. So that's a ride that is 200 miles in one day. So this is my t-shirt from last year, which was my first one. And here's a picture of me and my tandem buddy this year. That's taken at the top of Resurrection Hill, which is the biggest climb, about mile 150 on the Davis double. So that's our victory shot. And of course, members of my bike club, who never let anyone take themselves too seriously, have given me a nickname during all of this. They call me Dr. Purple, for obvious reasons. But I also have a friend who works at Disney who is quite amused by this, so I also ended up with a cycling logo, courtesy of him. Now, the things that make California a really amazing place for cyclists like me, the beautiful sunny days, the lack of rain or other inclement weather, the mountainous terrain and the beautiful scenic vistas, these also present challenges for us taking care of the state, and they make it susceptible to wildfires. So our lack of rain means that it gets dried out. We have these wildfires. Our challenging terrain means that we have to be very calculated about how we move firefighting resources to the affected areas. There might not always be a straight, flat road there. There might be a quite challenging, maybe a little bit neglected road. I'm sure you've heard that there are more and more roads like that, given the current state of our state's economy. So it becomes even more important to be able to fight these wildfires very efficiently and intelligently. We need to be able to map them. We need to be able to figure out things about them so that we can send the right resources to the right place at the right time and respond on time and at the lowest cost. Specifically, we need to be able to make maps kind of like this, where we locate the ignition points of the fires, any hot spots of the fires, figure out properties that tell us directionality. There are lots of unintuitive things that are best observed by surveying a wildfire. For example, you might have a wildfire that's here and a neighborhood right next to it here, and then it would be very important to know that the wildfire is actually moving very rapidly this way, and that you need to deploy your resources to the neighborhood here because they're going to get hit first. Right? So this is the kind of information that we need to be very good at finding. But it's also, as you can imagine, not a great mission to send a human on. There's certain risk involved in flying over a wildfire. So we need to figure out a way to do this in a safe, cost-effective manner that also allows us to respond to wildfires quickly. Now, a bunch of brilliant scientists at NASA came up with a great idea for how to handle this. Specifically this idea. This is the Swift UAS. This is a picture I took of it over in the N211A hangar here at NASA Ames. And this UAS has a wonderful ability to autonomously find a wildfire, fly over it, figure out what might be interesting to map, so it can make decisions like, oh, this area looks like something might be developing there. I'm going to go check that out, figure out what's going on. So it finds all of this stuff, and then it reports safely back to the humans located far, far, far away in a safe location where they can then take the data from the Swift, and then they can use that to be able to deploy our firefighting resources in a quick, efficient, and cost-effective manner. So this is all electric. It's completely autonomous. There is no, human standing below it because, you'd be in the middle of a wildfire. It's got limited weight, power, and hardware, and uses commercial off-the-shelf parts, specifically because we want this to be cheap. There's a non-trivial chance that anything like this at some point could get crispy fried, and we want this to not be a horrible, catastrophic event. So this is a wonderful solution to our wildfire problem in California, except for one tiny snag. The FAA wouldn't let them fly it because no one had yet proved that it would not fall on someone's head. Of course, these brilliant scientists at NASA also argued to the FAA that probably anyone standing directly below a wildfire surveying UAS has bigger problems, but alas, that did not fly with the FAA. So we needed to come up with another way. We needed to come up with something that we could add to this Swift UAS to enable it to complete its mission. And lest you think that this is a lone problem of the Swift, there are many other hazardous environments where you need this kind of technology. For example, you can imagine a cave or a mine or something like that, where you would want to be able to explore this safely, but also not, cause any damage to your surrounding environment. You don't need a collapse or anything else like that. This is true of environments that have hazardous chemicals. You might want to be able to clean up a chemical spill, but make sure that you don't make it worse or spread other dangerous chemicals in the area. And of course, this is NASA, right? So we also have to consider locations on other planets. We might want to be able to explore potentially dangerous or otherwise unsafe, unsteady environments on other planets and be able to also show that our UASs or other vehicles are going to maintain their system health and integrity and not negatively affect the environment that they're there to observe. This is also even translated into outer space, right? These are pictures of CubeSats, or small satellites. They're about this big, and generally in the shape of a cube, although you can put some cubes together. And these have a lot of the similar lightweight commercial off-the-shelf components that you would find on a UAS. And this technology is similarly applicable here. In fact, for you Star Trek fans in the audience, I think even if we were to discover a certain alien species that lives in the Delta Quadrant and likes to fly around larger versions of these cubes, they would still find this technology to be very useful. So specifically, we need to satisfy these requirements. Firstly, we need to satisfy realizability. By realizability, we mean this should be plug and play. It should have an easy, expressive specification language where we can describe what it means for the system to be healthy so that we can continuously monitor that through the execution of the mission. It needs to have a generic interface so that it can be used on all of these different places that I've shown you on the previous slides. And it needs to be able to adapt both to new specifications, to different phases in the mission. For example, we might need our system to monitor itself in different ways during takeoff versus during a surveying run or during landing. And we also need to be able to do this in a way that is flight certifiable, of course. We also need the system to be responsive. It needs to be able to continuously monitor the system and detect any deviations from the specifications that make it safe. It needs to be able to do this and able to enable any mitigation or rescue measures. So it should be able to tell as soon as something is about to go wrong, so that way it knows that it can, for example, safely land and call a mechanic. To save the mission, save the environment, and of course, save the UAS. It also needs to be able to report intermediate status then on these specifications in order to enable it to have this kind of behavior. And finally, we need the system to be unobtrusive. It can't alter any of the critical properties of UASs like the Swift. It needs to not alter its functionality, right? It needs to not alter its flight certifiability. That's sort of the whole point here, is that we're trying to make this flight certifiable so the FAA will let us fly it. We can't interfere with any timing guarantees or any tolerances of the system. We can't violate size, weight, or power constraints, right? We can't just strap a supercomputer onto the side of a small UAS like this and expect it to fly. We also need, of course, to comply with the low cost. We still need to keep this a low-cost system using commercial off-the-shelf components, so we need to be able to run it on something that you can find there. So we're operating, in short, under tight time and budget constraints in order to do this. Therefore, what we really need is to design a real-time, responsive, realizable, unobtrusive unit. Or, if you name this after the requirements, an RTR2U2. Consequently, this is also the name you come up with if you happen to be watching Star Wars while naming your tool. So, here's a picture of me with the Swift UAS. Here it is. It's actually got a 13-foot wingspan, so you can sort of get an idea of size with me in the picture there. And we were moving it between hangars that day. So this is its payload here, and it was rather empty at the time since we were getting ready to transport it. But you can see there's not a whole lot of space there to add in extra components. So that's the idea of the kind of constraints that we're dealing with. So how do we do this? Well, first we look at what approaches have people used previously. And this is one very popular approach called Bayesian reasoning. The basic idea here is that you can represent conditional dependencies in your system. For example, if you had a sensor that you wanted to see whether it could have a fault of a transmission overrun, then you could determine this probabilistically by looking at things like the transmission rate, the number of bad packets, and the increase in bad packet rate. So this type of Bayesian reasoner, even a very small one like this, can very efficiently calculate the probability of a fault given observations on the system. Now, this is a great way to go. It's been used frequently at NASA for other types of systems, and it works very well for diagnosis. But in our system, we have a certain need for a notion of time. And there are Bayes nets that reason over the kind of timed traces that we're looking at. They're called dynamic or timed temporal Bayes nets. But they come with some drawbacks that we can't accommodate. So they're actually too complex for real time, and that violates our responsiveness requirement. They're also resource intensive, and so they violate our requirements for realizability and unobtrusiveness. So we need to find a way to more efficiently reason about time when we're making these kinds of diagnoses. Well, fortunately, other people had thought of that too. So there's this great technology called runtime monitoring from the formal methods community. And I've drawn a little diagram here of basically how this works. So if you have a runtime monitor for a safety specification of your system, then you would initialize it with the system or subsystem that it's reasoning about, that it's monitoring. And it will wait for a system update. So every time the system sends an update to this runtime monitor, then it asks if the system state changed. If not, then it keeps waiting for system updates. But if the system state changes, then it checks whether or not the new state violates the safety specification. If not, of course, we continue waiting for an update. But if so, we can send immediately an alert of the property violation and then reset the monitor to continue monitoring in case this happens again. And this is very useful. For example, you can imagine when this is run on a piece of software that might enter an infinite loop and hang. Then the runtime monitor can tell you almost immediately, hey, this program is going to hang over here. You should reset it instead of wasting your time waiting on it. There are a whole lot of instances where this is a very useful technology, and it's very efficient. It has pretty low overhead compared to other things you could do, like the Bayesian network, and it operates in real time. It also requires some instrumentation here in order to send state variables to the monitor. So that's one thing we have to consider, because adding currently available runtime monitoring capabilities to the Swift would change its flight certification. So to quote our awesome UAS crew chief, Doug McKinnon, losing flight certification is like moving over to the dark side. Once you go there, you can never come back. So that's not a path we want to take here. Runtime monitors also have a few other things that we need to consider when we're doing this. For example, they tend to only report property failure, which is really useful for things like programs that are hanging, but not so useful when you get, hey guys, your UAS just crashed. You could probably tell that from the smoldering pile of rubble, right? So we need something that's a little more responsive than that. They also, like we went over on the previous slide, usually require some kind of instrumentation. Frequently, they'll utilize advanced resources, require powerful computers or database or other advanced technology that we might not have available on a small, lightweight, commercial off-the-shelf vehicle. Sometimes they accomplish all these things, but they use a more unintuitive specification language, so it's hard to specify the safety properties of your system you want to monitor. And they only report the outcomes of the specifications. They don't make decisions. So if runtime monitors don't make decisions, and Bayesian networks are too complex, then how do we satisfy our requirements? And where do we satisfy our requirements? Well, we can combine these two together in a new way to solve our problem. And we can do it on board a spare piece of hardware called an FPGA that is present on all of the systems I showed you in the first slides. Specifically, here is our FPGA. This is a very nice photo my student right there took of it this weekend with a clipper card so you can see its scale. It's a very small little thing. It easily fits on the payload of a CubeSat or a lightweight UAS. It's very fast. It's highly parallel. The field-programmable gates can be reconfigured out in the field when you're in between missions very easily. And it uses this very nice language called Very High Speed Integrated Circuit Hardware Definition Language, so it's easy to specify things aboard this piece of hardware. Okay, so with that, we can tie it all together and envision a new system sitting right here. So if this is the Swift UAS, then it has a common bus interface here. And on that common bus interface, there's a flight computer. There are all kinds of different sensors, radio link, etc. And these all interact with the bus in a read-write interface. But we can have a read-only interface to pick up what they're passing along this bus and use that to input to our system. Then we can establish runtime monitors that observe the temporal traces of the system in a very efficient way. And we can feed that into a non-temporal, very efficient small basenet that can reason about the types of faults we might encounter on these systems and pick out the system health intelligently in real time. Now, the specifications for the Swift tend to look like this. Here's one example. They tend to be timelines. And in this example, our specification we might want to say, to have runtime monitored, is that whenever the Swift UAS is in the air, its indicated airspeed would be greater than its stall speed. And we can say in the air means that the altitude of our UAS is above the altitude of the runway. So in a timeline, this looks like this. We would be on the ground. And then at some point, we would receive a takeoff command. And here our altitude is about that of the runway. And then we enter the air. In other words, our altitude becomes decidedly greater than that of the runway. And during this whole time we're in the air, we want to make sure that our indicated airspeed is always greater than our stall speed. So how do we intuitively and easily encapsulate these specifications? Timelines. We do it using the temporal logic of timelines, linear temporal logic. So this is a logic that allows engineers to very efficiently specify exactly things like we saw on the previous slide. Here are examples of some of the operators that you might be able to use so you can see how intuitive this is. For example, you could say that some property you want to hold, let's call it P, might happen next time. So if you're here, it happens next time. You could say that P always happens, so in all the time of your mission. You could say that some property P happens eventually at some time in the future, so that's here. P is over eventually in the future. And you can say slightly more complex things, like for example, you could say that some event P happens until a time when some event Q happens, which looks like this. And of course, you might want to specify that you push a button and have something happen, which we call release in this logic. So you could say, for example, that pushing button P releases Q from having to be true. So you would have Q is true here until you push a button P. And this actually translates to some very simple ways to specify the kinds of things we want to reason about. Here are some examples. We can reason about safety. For example, we could say that some bad thing P never happens. So that's just always, it's not the case that bad thing P is happening. We can also specify what we call fairness. So maybe P happens infinitely often. So that's just always, eventually, we have another P. So it keeps happening always in the future. And we can even say more complex things, like P is true every other time. So that would be, it's always the case that either P is true now and P is not true next time, or P is not true now, in which case it's true next time. So why is there a sheep on my slide? Okay, there's a sheep on my slide because now is where I attempt to offend the most number of people in this audience with the following terrible joke. Yeah, you thought all the bad jokes already happened. No, this one's good. All right, so an engineer, a physicist, a mathematician, and a temporal logician were riding on a train through Scotland when they looked out the window, and this is what they saw. "Oh, look," exclaimed the engineer, "the sheep in Scotland are black." "You're so imprecise," said the physicist. "Clearly, at least one of the sheep in Scotland is black." "You are both wrong," said the mathematician. "Obviously, at least one of the sheep in Scotland is black on at least one side." "You are all an embarrassment," said the temporal logician, "because at least one of the sheep in Scotland is black on at least one side at least part of the time." So that's about how precisely you have to specify the kinds of things that we want to monitor about the Swift UAS. But you can do it very easily with this kind of temporal logic. Specifically, for each specification, we create 2 runtime monitors or observers instead of the usual 1. So first, we came up with a way to do an asynchronous or event-triggered observer. So this is a runtime monitor that, sort of like the traditional ones I showed you, updates whenever an event happens that might change the system state. So this always reports true or false to our BayesNet that's taking this as input. And it also gives the status of the system as early as possible, which allows the BayesNet to make more intelligent decisions. So for example, if you had a specification that says that after takeoff, you need the Swift to reach a certain altitude by a certain time, then this property would tell the BayesNet, "Oh, we're only halfway to that time, but we've reached the altitude already." It wouldn't wait for the time to run out like a more traditional monitor and then check if you've reached the altitude. So this is very useful for updating on intermediate status in that way. But then we also added what we call a synchronous observer. So this also monitors the same property, but it has now a 3-valued output where we can say that the property is true, or it's false, or it might be true. And so we can send the BayesNet intermediate system information about the property that enables it to make more intelligent decisions ahead of the time when something might go wrong. So for example, again with the property that if you want to take off and reach a certain altitude within a certain time, then this runtime monitor would tell our BayesNet things like, okay, time's not up yet, but this property is also not true yet. So maybe we should worry that we haven't reached close enough to that altitude and time is about to run out, thus enabling the BayesNet to decide, well, maybe something's going wrong and we should make alternative plans. So all of this is implemented very efficiently in a very parallel way on board the FPGA in hardware implementation. So it enables it to run very fast. And it satisfies our requirements. You can see our FAA is now happy. So we have realizability. This is efficient. It's programmable to adapt to the specification changes. We can easily reconfigure it within the limited bandwidth that's available to us aboard systems like the Swift. It's transferring just a lightweight configuration. And of course, it enables our important Bayesian reasoning, which enables us to make decisions and see what's going on with our system health. It's responsive. Again, we have our 3 components for every specification instead of in previous work where maybe there was just 1. We have our synchronous observers that give intermediate status at every tick of the system clock. We have our asynchronous observers that evaluate every system safety specification as early as possible. And we have very simple, lightweight, fast Bayesian reasoning that takes these as input and can make intelligent decisions. And finally, it's unobtrusive. It's implemented in hardware, in a self-contained unit. It's running externally to the system. It has a generic interface that can interface with all of the systems that we would like, both in this work and future work here at NASA. And we've done this without violating flight certifiability. So now I want to tell you that it also happens to work really well. And let me share with you a little story here about a device right here called the Fluxgate Magnetometer. Now, during one of the test runs of the Swift UAS, before we got involved, so before RT-R2U2 was invented, there was a problem. The system engineers monitoring the data being returned by the Swift noticed that it looked very strange sometimes, but only sometimes. And it was very hard to figure out what might be causing this behavior. But the data was very vital to the mission at hand, so it was very important that they figured this out as soon as possible. In fact, this particular anomaly ended up grounding this flight test for 48 hours while the system engineers worked round the clock to figure out what was wrong. It ended up that the problem was due to this very innocuous-looking device right here, the Fluxgate Magnetometer. The Fluxgate Magnetometer had suffered a fault early in the test run of the Swift, and that had caused it to reset the rate at which it was sampling data. So now it was sampling too fast, and the buffer elsewhere on the UAS recording this data was getting overrun. Now, this isn't immediately obvious if you're even a very intelligent human being looking at this data, because the sensor data is noisy. It's not obvious that two values that are very close don't really match. Also, the Fluxgate magnetometer data doesn't change all the time constantly. So sometimes you could look at this and see the same thing coming out of the sensor as you see recorded in the buffer. And it's only by looking at temporal properties, specifically the kind of complex temporal traces we can monitor with RT-R2U2, that you can find this sort of thing. So for example, here is the result of us running RT-R2U2 on the real-time flight data as if we had been flying aboard the Swift UAS. We would get traces from the sensors like this. So here's the bad packet rate coming in, and here are the acceptable packets. And we would monitor these things, which you saw in our very simple BaseNet at the beginning of this talk. Things like the packet transmission rate is appropriate, or the number of bad packets, or the bad packet rate, and whether or not it's increasing. And then we get input from our synchronous and asynchronous observers. And we are able to show that had RT-R2U2 been running on board the Swift during this flight test, we would have been able to detect the Fluxgate magnetometer anomaly in real time. We would have saved 48 hours of grounding the flight test and all of the time and money and frustration that was caused to the system of engineers. And we've also shown this works for all of the other faults that were suffered during flight tests. For example, this one, which was pretty easy for humans to detect, but we also found it in real time. The laser altimeter, which you can see here in red, suffered a failure. It was caused by it being out of range. So our tool was again able to detect the time at which we should stop trusting this sensor because it's no longer reliable, and then detect that it had become reliable again later, and we can use it in conjunction with our other ways of measuring altitude to continue gathering data from this mission. And just to show you it's not very complex, this is the real BaseNet with all of the conditional probabilities, also used in this example. So these are all very simple things that we're monitoring very efficiently, but enables us to have incredibly intelligent system health management. Now, there are all kinds of other uses that we're looking at for this technology right now. For example, this is the Viking UAS, which is also in the hangar next to the Swift. And one of its major missions is to do surveillance for earthquake data, like this. Here's a zoom-in shot. To do this, it needs to fly pretty low over the ground, over these types of regions, which is, again, a dangerous job. It's not a good thing to assign to a human being, both because you're so low over the ground that any small mistake might cause you to have to react incredibly quickly to be able to save the vehicle, but also because it's very monotonous. And they've shown time and again when you give this kind of monotonous but highly safety-critical task to a human, let's just say it's better to have this automated, both for the safety of the person, the vehicle, and the mission. So we need, though, then, if we don't have a human, this kind of safety health management on board the Viking. And that's one of the things that we're looking at doing right now with this project. We also have some other interesting directions of future work. For example, this is me with these dragon eyes. I didn't know first when I made this slide they'd be here, but here they are, so you can see for scale. These are some other smaller UASs that we have around here in NASA that are also great for all kinds of different surveillance missions. And one of the really cool things about these UAS that I've represented up here is that their software is also open source. So not only can we monitor properties of the hardware and the sensors over the bus, but we also can know what's going on inside the software of these UAS. So that gives us more things that we can monitor and reason about, and maybe we can be even more intelligent about our system health management techniques if we have this kind of option available to us. And of course, we also want to look into using this in CubeSats, other applications in space, and beyond. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and I'll take your questions.
So please raise your hand, and a mic will come over to you for any questions.
Well, it appears to me you're nowhere as close to being, completely autonomous. So how many years do you think that'll take place, to get something that is really completely autonomous? I mean, with all the error checking and that you're trying to do in flight certification.
Right.
And people have been working on this for quite a while. You think it'll be a decade where the FAA will say you can go fly over populated areas and you're good to go?
I make no claims about the FAA's process, and I'm not going to speak for them. We did this year win a seedling proposal from the Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate to build and test the RTR-2U2 on board this UAS, as well as on board the other two I showed you. So that's been actively developed. We have a working implementation that we could at least fly in test runs once we get approval. And of course, we're looking to expand that project. So our end of the technology is expanding very rapidly. This is an active area that we have an entire team of wonderful people working on. We are applying for certification from the FAA, and we meet all of their requirements. So we'll see what they say.
If I understand it, you're continuously monitoring a number of system parameters and trying to, in real time, identify configurations that indicate loss of health of the vehicle.
Yes.
My question is there any automation involved in identifying those conditions, or do humans write down a list of those conditions and build them into the software?
Thank you so much. That's a great question. I swear I did not plant him. That is a wonderful question. So you are totally right that for the initial tests here, before we entirely knew how this would work or what we wanted, we did sit down and do this by hand. So so initially, all of the specifications, the Bayes nets that we came up with were by hand. We synthesized them automatically into the runtime monitors and into the FPGA implementation. But coming up with the actual list of specifications and faults, that was a very manual intensive activity. But now that we know that it works, we have a proof of concept, and we're building this and expanding to more systems, one of our active areas is looking at automating that more. For example, we've classified the things that we want to monitor into categories. So for every sensor on board the system, for example, we would want to look at the rate of change, how fast can it change up or down, what's the tolerance for that, make sure that's always in line, the range that the sensor is applicable in, any relationships it has. For example, on the Swift, there are 3 ways of measuring altitude, so they should all match, right? Any sort of relationships like that. If you pitch up and then you have your engines going, you should see an increase in altitude, that sort of thing. Also, response to flight commands. So if you get a certain command, you should see all of the sensors changing immediately after that in the appropriate way. So we can map out all these different kinds of things, and then we can try to automatically generate all of the specifications for safety and sanity checks that we would need for a certain set of sensors, knowing all the sorts of things that we would want to monitor this way. So we're working on that technology right now.
Hi. Can you comment on making the R2-U2 not just a one-way read from the system, but being able to modify your flight dynamics or mission planning based on the output from the R2-U2?
Yes, thank you so much. That is another wonderful question. Right now, of course, when we're adding to an existing system, we have to prove that we're not changing anything on board this already created and functioning system. So that's why we had to start out with a read-only interface. And you're right that with a read-only interface, we can't actually have the system react to any decisions that we make on board. All we could do is, for example, in the case of the Fluxgate magnetometer error, they could have the UAS land, and then the system engineers could look on board the RT-R2-U2 and see that we had determined where the problem was and be able to fix it immediately. But we would not issue commands for the UAS to fix it during the mission while it's flying. That's certainly not something we're doing right now. However, we're hoping that as we test this technology and as new systems are designed, that we might be able to integrate that in earlier in such a way that we might be allowed to have a more read-write interface. So maybe we wouldn't start off entirely being able to control the UAS in response to a decision we made, but we might be able to, example, flip a switch and say, okay, either everything's right or something might be wrong, so you can activate one behavior, which is land safely and call a mechanic. Something like that.
All right, I had a question. You mentioned that you're basically monitoring the sensors.
Yes.
Now, with the different kinds of UAS, different sizes of UAS, the amount of sensor information is going to be, it's going to vary pretty widely. So I was just wondering, is there any work to maybe like automatically identify for users if this was something that was eventually going to be like a plug and play where I could say, hey, given the sensor data that you have available to me, these are the functionalities I can give you? Or is that something that's going to have to be tuned like by the user manually each time?
Thank you. Yes, we're definitely working toward more automation. So that's an excellent point you made, that the sensors do very widely, and that's why we're looking at ways to, for example, be able to input maybe to a program what sensors that you have on board, because even among UAS, you could configure these two differently for different missions, and you might choose to fly different payloads or put different things on them. So, so even aboard like a Dragon Eyes, it's not always going to be the same. And certainly we're looking at ways to really efficiently make this very usable for system designers so that you can take the list of signals that you might get from one of these, from sensors, and in this case also software, feed that in, and then we would run something where we generate all of the standard sanity checks we might want to check about those sensors and generate that automatically. So we're not there yet, but that's definitely a direction that we're going for future work.
Hi. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about how you derive the properties and the safety requirements for your system.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, for every sensor that we might have on board, it has certain properties. For example, if you're measuring altitude and you're getting numbers that say that you are falling faster than gravity, probably that's something you would want to know about, because probably it means there's something a little off. So you want to measure the rate of change of the sensor, up or down or in whatever direction. And for any sensor, you would want to measure that. And similarly, some sensors have ranges that they are operable in. So for example, the reason for the laser altimeter failure that I showed you on a previous slide was because the UAS flew out of the altitude range that the altimeter was accurate within. So you would want to monitor things like, for this sensor, are we within whatever range or tolerances that it operates within? And if not, maybe it's a good idea not to trust that sensor, right? We also have all kinds of different relationships between the sensors. So you would expect certain sensors to react to something else. If you increase the power and you're pointed straight forward, you would, for example, maybe expect to see the distance over the ground increasing in that time frame, things like that. So those are the kinds of things that we might want to monitor about this. A lot of them are called sanity checks because they're things that all of us as humans might take for granted that, well, of course, if you pitch up and you power the UAS, that your altitude's going to rise, right? But these aren't the kinds of things that humans, that computers think of automatically. And so we have to put them in and sort of make it think like a human so that it can be more intelligent and notice whenever something might be going wrong.
So you said that you were selecting material that was readily available.
Yes.
And you were trying to utilize more open source software.
Yes.
So that would imply, I guess, that what would prevent people from building it themselves, and what sort of measures are you looking into preventing people from hacking into the system and just taking over the UAV?
Okay. Well, so if we go back, let's see. I have a diagram of how this works here. All right, so here is our RTR2U2, and it has a read-only interface to the bus, and it is not connected to the ground, the internet, or anything else that one might use to hack into it. So this is just running on an FPGA on board a UAS, so there's no chance of anyone getting into it. We're not even transmitting to the flight engineers on the ground. That's why I said in order for them to be able to diagnose something like the Fluxgate magnetometer error, the UAS would have to land, and then they would have to get the information physically from there, right? So that's how we know that. As far as other people using this technology for other UASs, that would be great. We have published our results so far. We're releasing how you encode, for example, temporal logic and Bayes nets on board an FPGA efficiently. So we have published that in a recent paper in April, along with all the proofs of correctness. And we really hope that other people will use this kind of intelligent system health management to make all kinds of UAS safer. We hope that other people build on this and improve it, and we're looking forward to collaborating with those people.
So I'm curious, how does your R2U2 solve the issue of safety for the FFA? If it does check the system and give you those feedbacks, but then it still needs to land, how do you solve system failures and those kinds of issues?
Right, so the idea is that we would make this more safe because instead of the UAS just flying a mission and paying attention to, for example, just the wildfire on the ground, it would be simultaneously checking itself very closely. The way that a pilot would check a plane, just intuitively. That's why we're talking about monitoring things like sanity checks here. So adding a system like this is a really great way to be able to have the UAS constantly check itself and not just sort of like, what does everything look like in this time, but are there any trends that could indicate maybe something is going south? So by looking at temporal traces the way we are, it enables us to make very conservative decisions, more conservative even than a human being might make, because we can make more accurate temporal observations than a human could make while flying. And that increases system safety because if we have the first inkling that something might be going wrong, then we could take a conservative action, like, for example, picking a safe location to land in and calling a mechanic and not allowing anything to go wrong with the system that might not be noticed otherwise. So that's the point of adding this, and that's how it increases dramatically the safety of a system, is that for all of the test data we have, and we're continuing to get in more test data from more UASs, but from everything we've seen so far, we've been able to detect every fault in real time and be able to react to that so that we've never allowed anything to compromise the mission in an unsafe way. So we're hoping that that continues as we build this, and we certainly intend to keep looking at ways to make this even more safe.